Welcome viewers, I'll be speaking to Attorney Gehi today on complicated issues in family-based immigration. Why do most people that apply for a green card get denied?
Under the family-based immigration category, why do most people who apply on their own get denied? The question is, it's a very good question. The reason this happens is because when people apply on their own, they think immigration just means filling up forms. And that's a big, big misconception. Behind every line that you're filling out, a law may be applying. So the question is that sometimes you're either missing documents or either not eligible for a green card because of several different reasons. The green card gets denied. And what happens nowadays is that once if they deny your case, there are times when you'll find yourself before an immigration judge getting deported, getting an order of deportation. If not, the judge has the right to order you deported. Or he may tell you that you are in deportation, you need to get a lawyer immediately on those cases.
Can my green card holding spouse get me a green card?
Yes, if you're legal in this country, for example, if you're on a student visa or if you're on a visitor's visa, and if your priority date is current, which means if you're legal, then you have a very good chance of getting a green card. There are a few exceptions, but I'm not getting into those exceptions wherein you had cases before April 30th, 2001. That's a different category, but on the whole, if you're legal in this country, if you're on an H-1B visa, and if your priority date is current, then your green card holder spouse can apply for your green card. And the average waiting time right now is around 2.5 years. And through that, you can still qualify for a green card in this country.
As a green card holder, or anyone of any immigrant status, what do I do if my U.S. citizen spouse abuses me?
I'm going to have a long talk with you about this particular issue because now let's basically get back to the basics. Now, the easiest way for me to explain this is by means of an example. I'm an American citizen and I'm married to someone who's illegal in this country. And I'm taking full advantage of her because she's illegal here. And the thing is that I'm abusing her sexually, physically, mentally, emotionally, or in every possible way. The good news is that you don't need any help from this American citizen spouse. You can self-sponsor yourself for a green card under the Violence Against Women's Act. This is the law through which basically you can apply. And once you apply for your documents, what happens is that immigration will interview you and they want to know whether the person who was abusing with you was an American citizen or at least a green card holder. And if they feel that you have been a victim of abuse, then you can get your green card on your own without any help from the American citizen spouse. Because the good news is that under American law, nobody should be subjected to abuse. And an abuser should not be taking advantage of an illegal alien in this country. And that happens a lot. And I'm glad that the government is realizing it. The people of our country are realizing this particular issue, because torture is a very, very serious issue in our country. And we should not, there's a saying in English that an encourager of tyranny is a tyrant himself. Anyone who encourages torture is exactly a tyrant in our country. And nobody should be subjected to mistreatment. And therefore, they have the battered spouse provision under immigration law, which means you're married to an American citizen and he's abusing you every day. You don't need any help from him. You can apply for your green card under the self-sponsored category as a battered spouse.
Can a male be self-sponsored under VAW or battered spouse?
Yes, it is known as the Violence Against Women's Act, but a male also can sponsor himself. For example, you're married to a woman here, and the woman is abusing you. Of course, you can apply as a battered spouse. So, it's not that if only women can, men can, and everybody can actually self-sponsor themselves.
Attorney Gehi, what is a Stokes interview?
A Stokes interview happens when, for example, Sandeep, you're married to an American citizen, and you go for an interview there, and you fail the interview. That's not good, which means the officer was not convinced with the marriage. He's going to tell you to come back next time because he wants to separate both of you. And I must tell you, I can't stress the importance of a lawyer during these interviews, because you have to understand, they are seeing whether your marriage is actually fraudulent. And there are people who have been handcuffed over there and they've been put into jail, because when immigration thinks that this is a fraudulent marriage, they have full powers to put you in jail at that time. And to make things worse, you're subjected to a 99-year bar, which means even if you do anything, you'll never get your green card. So be very careful when you have these issues. and especially when exactly you have a case, when exactly you feel that they've called you for a second interview, immediately get a lawyer involved.
What questions will immigration ask?
Anything that pertains to your relationship, right from your childhood until today. And remember, you both are separated, and your questions have to match each other. And if they don't, you're looking at trouble. So therefore, I'm telling you that any time, if you have the Stokes interview, see that you see any qualified lawyer that you're comfortable with, because the preparation for Stokes interview is so difficult that you need someone who's very seasoned with this particular issue. Because as I'm saying, people have undergone harrowing experiences at Stokes interview. So you need to be very careful if you're called for a second interview.
Attorney Gehi, can someone claim that my marriage is a fraud with my U.S. citizen spouse and report me to immigration?
Anybody, it's a free country. Anyone can call immigration and say. But there have been cases wherein we've had clients, when people have reported that this is a fraudulent marriage, we've still overcome those barriers. We've been able to prove them that the person had some kind of jealousy against you. That's why they wrote the letter. And those people have still qualified for a green card. You have to, strongly represent those clients, and you have to, do your very best to see that you overcome those barriers, which actually become obstacles in those cases.
Attorney Gehi, what if I had a common law marriage or an Islamic marriage? Does that affect my case in any way? It's not a court-appointed marriage.
Provided the country recognizes your marriage, that marriage is legit, which means that if you got married in Pakistan or in Jordan or in the Middle East, or if you got married in Turkey, the question is that, yes, if the law of that particular land recognizes it as a legal marriage, then you are fine. But if it's not recognized, then you'll have to register your marriage.
Attorney Gehi, what do I do if I don't have a birth certificate or my spouse does not have a birth certificate?
If you don't have a birth certificate, then you need 2 affidavits. Plus, you need to show why you're unable to get a birth certificate, and you may need documents from your country's government to show why that particular document is not available. Serious issues. People take it very lightly. That's one major reason why people get denied for the green cards. And especially, for example, people sponsor their brothers and sisters. When they apply for the documents, immigration denies it straight because they cannot produce proper documents.
What are the benefits to marrying a U.S. citizen?
The major benefit is that you may be eligible to get your green card within a period of 4 to 6 months. And you can even sponsor, later on, once if you become a green card holder, you can get a green card after your citizenship after 3 years, and you don't even have to wait for 5 years. I think that's fantastic. A lot of the cases that actually happen in America today are all marriage-based cases. And once if you're a citizen, even if your mother and father are legal, they can become illegal in this. They can become legal in this country. So it's something that can help you to unite the entire family, and make them eligible for green cards in this country. There are other issues that come up in family-based immigration. I believe sometimes people have a tendency of applying for their relatives, who are in foreign countries on their own. For example, they think that it's so easy to file the I-130 petition. Problem is that sometimes the I-130 petition gets denied. Secondly, there are problems during the National Visa Processing Center. People have problems because they cannot provide them with the right documents. And sometimes when the matter goes before the consulate, that may be a completely different issue there. So be very careful, because you have to understand, once if your case is denied, a record is created by immigration, which means even when you're going to try to apply again for that person, people think, oh my God, the past is not going to come up. That's a big mistake. Answer is that once if a document is given to immigration, that's it. You cannot retract those documents back. It becomes a matter of record. And once if the government has the records, then you're looking at trouble, which means that if you committed a mistake, then you're looking at some trouble out here. So you have to be very careful when you are applying for this procedure. Besides that, sometimes there are other common mistakes that happen. People think, oh my God, my sister just sponsored me now, I'm going to apply for my green card. Guess what happens? If you applied when your priority date was not current, you go to immigration, they'll deny your case, and you'll have to see an immigration judge. And the judge will tell you, well, your case is not current, and I'm sorry, I think I'll have to deport you from this country because you don't have any other relief available. So be very careful, because what you see online sometimes, you think it's so easy to fill up the paperwork. Unless and until you don't know the law very well, be very careful in what you're doing. Of course, it's like taking a pill. You can just go to any of these department stores and pick up a Tylenol or some other pill and take it, and you may be fine. But there are times that it may not agree with your system, because if you look at the warnings also, they make it clear that if your condition is serious, you should see a doctor. So you have to be very careful in what you do. So, sometimes things may work when you do things on your own, and sometimes things may not work with you. So be very careful and, plan your life accordingly. And if you think you're good, go ahead. But if you think that if you have an issue, be very careful. That's the message when it comes to immigration. Most common issues which I see before consulates is people commit frauds, which means happens. And then they think, I didn't intend to commit this. Well, you did your paperwork on your own, and you thought that you were smarter than the system. And now the officer is charging you with a fraud because this is what you did was wrong. And sometimes people have a tendency of being married in the home country, and then they apply for a fiancé visa. That's a fraud. Because you are married, and now you're trying to get your visa because you're trying to get your 4 months earlier than the required time, and you're applying for a fiancé visa by showing that you are never married. Of course, that's a ground for fraud. So people sometimes just oversee these issues. They think, oh, it's not that big. Everything in immigration can be an issue. But it's very important for you to be truthful, and you have to basically go by the book of law, and you should have the required documents. Sometimes people don't have the documents, and they apply. And finally they feel, oh my God, I don't know why my case was denied. And I read this particular thing online, and online is very different. Because what you read on online, there's so much that I read which is just pure junk. It's horrible. And it's misleading the public. So you have to be very careful. For example, if you're a computer engineer, I know about computers, but the knowledge of this computer engineer is far more advanced than my knowledge. That is the exact difference here.
In deportation, do you have a complex immigration matter? Has your immigration case been denied? For all your complex immigration matters, including family-based immigration, employment-based immigration, deportation, citizenships, battered spouses, call Gehi Associates at 718-263-5999 for a free initial consultation.
Over the years, we've helped many people in getting the green cards. Would you like to have your green card? Call Gehi Associates now.
Attorney Gehi, if my U.S. citizen spouse or my green card holding spouse does not have enough money to sponsor me, what do I do?
Well, then exactly you can look for a joint sponsor in those cases. And if you have a good joint sponsor, you can be fine with it.
Who can be a joint sponsor?
It can be anybody. I think that's a subjective issue, and the best thing to do is to consult a lawyer. And once if they review it, then they'll let you know whether exactly this is a capable and an acceptable joint sponsor under Section 213 of the Immigration and Nationality Act.
As a green card holder, is it important for me to file taxes?
Every person in this country, whether you're legal or illegal, should pay taxes. And I think even if you're legal, if you're going to pay taxes, it's going to help you. It's not going to haunt you. And even if you're legal and if you're hearing my message, please pay your taxes in this country, because that they can, your taxes can take you a long way over the years. And even judges don't like people who don't pay their taxes. I cannot stress the importance of becoming legal in this country if you're illegal. Sometimes people commit another mistake. They have these families here, and they send them abroad to get their green card. Because they think, oh, they did the paperwork on their own, and guess what? When they go there, they're not coming back because they overstayed the visas in America. So they could have gotten the green cards here, but they tried to save a few dollars. Just for a few dollars more, life would have been very different.
Attorney Gehi, is there any issues involving repeated illegal entry into the U.S.?
Yes, a repeated illegal person who re-enters this country is a major risk of becoming deported, of getting deported from this country. If you had an order of deportation and if you re-enter in this country, that's a criminal offense also, and you can go to jail. And not immigration jail, first criminal detention and then immigration detention. So it's very important that, as I'm telling you, the mistakes happen. And for example, there have been people who've tried, who had cases before, they tried to hide those things by saying that I'm going to change my name, I'm going to change my date of birth and try to get a green card. People get desperate. And those are big mistakes because you have to understand they have your fingerprints, they have your record, and those good old days are gone. Be very careful in getting your green card in this country. A fraud is a fraud. There are no exceptions. What does a fraud mean? An intent to deceive. And if you have the intention to deceive, this is a common law term, then the bottom line is that it is a fraud. There are waivers for fraud, but the bottom line is why commit a fraud when you can get something done in the right way. Some other questions about family-based immigration is that people think that if you're a green card holder, you should not be sponsoring your spouse. That is a big mistake. Even if you're a green card holder, sponsor your spouse, especially if he's in a foreign country. Because right now the waiting period is around 2.5 years. That can become less. If you are a citizen, sponsor your brothers and sisters because you think it's going to be 8 years. The time can change. Because, for example, under the EB2 category, it was so backlogged, but right now it's just close to becoming current for everyone. For India, I'm talking about. It's 2009 now. So don't wait. The biggest problem with people who are illegal or legal who want to sponsor their relatives, they get lazy or they think, you know what, it's never going to happen. There's a saying in English, time flies. I mean, yesterday I feel that I was 18 years old, but today I'm something else. The question is that always be diligent, always do your best. That's all you can do as a human being. Don't wait until the last minute. People generally have a tendency to come in and basically get the immigration matters resolved at the last minute. Those are some big mistakes which happen.
Attorney Gehi, as a green card holder, if I get a divorce from my green card holding spouse or my U.S. citizen spouse, will that jeopardize my ability to get a citizenship?
If you are a conditional green card holder, you're looking at trouble because the law generally expects you to be married until you get a permanent green card. But if there are exceptional circumstances, for example, if you married the person with an intent to live your life and not with the intent of circumventing the immigration laws of a country, then of course you are fine. But if you don't have enough evidence that you lived with her, and if you're trying to circumvent the law, then you can be asked to see an immigration judge. And from there, if you don't have good, legitimate, and compelling reasons, you can be ordered deported from the United States. So that is very important. Now what happens? We've had people come in and see us. They had these conditional green cards. They panicked. They thought that they won't be able to kind of make it. On most occasions, I feel that, they went for the interview. So I tell them that if you went for the interview, of course there should be something. And sometimes these people undergo torture, even after getting the conditional green cards. That's a fantastic way for you to fight out for your green card and say, listen, I could not take this torture. And this happened every day because the most common blackmail that happens in the system is from American citizens telling their spouses, I'm going to get you deported. Generally, if you look at the country, people talk against illegal aliens, they take away our jobs, they do this, but they don't see the torture which Americans, some of them do to these, vulnerable people in this country. And these people are even scared to see cops in this country because they're illegal. You have to understand, rather than making a mountain of a mole, you need to sympathize with everything and have a calm kind of an approach to the problem. Look at the bigger picture. Don't look at the point that if he's illegal, he's taking away my job and everything. Of course, little things happen everywhere. I mean, there are people in our country who are American citizens who flout the social security system. They flout so many things out here. So it's human. Look upon it as a human perspective. But the good and the bad and the ugly happen in every society and in every sphere of life. So, look at it subjectively and then make analytical decisions about people's lives.
Will I have a problem if I have multiple marriages, if I've been married multiple times in the past and divorced multiple times?
We've had clients who have been married 3 times in the past. They didn't go for the interviews. They went with another spouse for the 4th time. They've still gotten their green cards. So I must tell you, but all your 3 files will come up before immigration. That's where you need to see someone you're comfortable with. And especially you will need representation in those cases, of course, because there'll be a question about all your 3 marriages that happened in the past.
Attorney Gehi, what would raise suspicion about my marriage to immigration?
Whether you were married to the person for fraud, whether you tried to get your green card by just getting married to her for papers, those are very important issues. Sometimes we have people who say, oh, I'm happily married and everything. Remember, that means nothing. You need to show it by means of documents, your testimony, and you need to convince the officer, and which is not an easy burden. I've had clients who've had children together, and they were interviewed for more than an hour. After having children, they were interviewed more than an hour because the officer said, okay, you can still have children in this country and not have legitimate intentions. Makes sense. I mean, that's his argument, and that may prevail. So remember, by just saying that you're happily married, you have children, does not mean that you're entitled to a green card. You need to prove it by means of documents also. We've had a family here who's been married for nearly around 18 years, 17 to 18 years. They still don't have the green card. They just retained us recently and they said, I want to fight my case, and we are fighting the case with them. So these are very important issues which people have to consider. To make a long story short, consular processing can be difficult. Sponsor your fiancés, sponsor your relatives. It's a good idea to do so. Do not procrastinate the process, especially if you're illegal. Remember, last year 400,000 people were deported, and God forbid you may be the next person out there in line. So why should you be illegal in this country? Become legal and stay properly, live happily. Sometimes people come in and ask me, Mr. Gehi, I'm single. I met this woman and I don't like her very much. She's an American citizen. Remember, you are not perfect either. And we all human beings have this tendency when we date people, we think, I'm perfect, she's not. She thinks the same way as you do. But life is a compromise. And if you can come to a compromise, you both may be very happy. But if you both are going to be adamant that I'm such a great looking guy, I'm just a great looking woman, look at me, the mirror cracks down when I stand in front of the mirror. So basically, please forget all those things. Get your life in order. I mean, even if you're that macho man over here without a green card, your life is nothing in America. You may be the best looking model in this country, but the question is, do you have a green card? If the answer is no, you'll just be modeling in your house. But if you want to go out and show your personality to the world, of course you need a work permit. And for that, you need to be legal in this country. So the bottom line is just basically manage your ego to a certain level, get married, get your green card. That's my recommendation. Why do most people don't get married? Ego issues. They think, oh my God, I've seen this woman, she's fine, but look at yourself in the mirror. Do you have a green card? The answer is no. So better basically make some compromises in your life and settle yourself, because when it comes to immigration, you're dealing with the Department of Homeland Security, and they have made it very clear, and the government is correct, that we don't want to see illegals in America. You go by the book, you live by the book. That's the way the government wants you to be. And this is going to be the future in America. No doubt we have around close to 13 million illegal immigrants in this country. The government is trying to find ways to see that everyone becomes legal in the right way by paying the back taxes, and they're going to take stern action against people who have criminal records. So the bottom line is that you never know when you may be winding up in troubled waters with immigration. So it's always a good idea to become legal in this country. Another good news is that if you have been here for more than 10 years, and if you have American citizen children, you may still qualify for a green card under the 10-year category. So there's a lot more we have to talk about, Sandeep, in our future segments. And I believe that the time has come that we need to wind this up right now, so that we'll choose some more topics which our viewers want, and we'd be happy to discuss them further.
Attorney Gehi, thank you for taking this time to answer these questions for us. Viewers, I hope you found this segment useful, and you'll join us next time.